Thank you, Juan Carlos. Muy buenos días a todos. Good morning, everyone. Dear representative of our affiliate member, dear guests, dear participants in this edition of FITUR. First of all, let me mention that it's for us a real pleasure to inaugurate today a new edition of this format, of this special session that we used to offer to our affiliated entities within the framework of the main tourist fair worldwide, and specifically here in Madrid in FITUR. We started with this format in 2020, and I am happy to see that it's becoming much expected meeting point of our affiliate members. And also it's important to underline that we are organizing this edition of FITUR and this specific session in a context, in a very encouraging context, with a lot of good news from the tourism sector, from the tourism industry. UNTourism, our organization, have just released the most recent barometer, and as you are aware, the numbers for the 2023 are quite encouraging. We've been approaching to reach almost the level of the pre-pandemic levels in terms of international arrivals, and the forecast for this year are also encouraging. Of course, we remain aware of the existing challenges and risk, both economic, having to do with factors like the high prices of some services sectors, accommodation, transportation, because of rise of the prices of the oil, but also the geopolitical tensions that we all know. Within this context, our evaluation for this year, as you know, are quite optimistic, and scenario, the most optimistic is to have to reach higher levels than the pre-pandemic ones, both in terms of international arrivals and in terms of incomes. Also, I would like to open this session underlying that for this year, as you can see, we propose to you this topic, key outbound tourism market, which is about focusing on offering to you insight, perspective of some very important markets like France, which will be presented today by Expedia Group. Also, United Kingdom will have the perspective and the valuable opinions and information by the Association of British Travel Agents. The Italian market, under the evaluation of our outstanding affiliate member TripAdvisor. Spain, presented by Atrevia. Germany by Allianz Partners. United States and Canada by ICF International. India by Star Communication. China by Dragon Trail, and the countries from the Gulf Cooperation Council, presented by our important affiliate member, Myriam Technologies. And I think that this enumeration, it's enough to have all of you convinced that we will have today the opportunity to receive very interesting perspective, information, data, and I'm sure that our distinguished speakers would take this opportunity to help us, to help the tourism stakeholders, to including DMOs, to stay ahead in understanding the evolving needs and expectations of travelers according to their country of origin, and to adapt, of course, I'm referring to the DMOs, their promotion activity accordingly. So I would like also to underline that, as you all know, the mission of UNTourism include the important dimension of fostering the public-private partnership, the public-private cooperation. For us, the contribution of the local administration, of the DMOs and the private sector to the effort of UNWTO to elaborate content, to elaborate guidelines, and to support our member states is a key one. The department I have the honor to lead, the affiliate member department, is precisely the area of UNWTO in charge of this partnership. So you will understand that I am really proud of having you all here. I'm really proud of having this important panel of speakers that will share with us their insight. I'm sure that it will be a very fruitful session, and I would like also to underline that once finalizing the session, we, the UN Tourism, will make available for you the information that will be distributed today, the presentation, both through our platform dedicated to the affiliate members and also for the general audience. So having said that, once again, I would like to really thank to our affiliate members that will share with us their perspective today. To thanks to all of you for being here today, and to share with you my conviction that this will be a very enriching and inspiring session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vilcu. And our first presentation will offer a global perspective on tourism trends, coupled with some insights into the French market. Please welcome Ms. Myriam Younes, Director of Business Development at Expedia Group.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you for attending, and thank you so much to the UN Tourism for the invitation. We're very proud and honored to be an affiliate member and to be able to present to you today our latest research, as well as some global trends that we predict will be center stage for 2024. And of course, we'll dive into the French market. So before we begin, just a quick introduction. I'm Myriam Younes, Director of Business Development at Expedia Group. If you're not familiar with the group, we're the largest travel audience in the world, operating in 60 markets. And some of our brands you can see on screen include Expedia, Hotels.com, and also Vrbo, as well as others. Our mission at Media Solution is to connect marketeers with shoppers through tailored marketing strategies. And the idea for today is to take you through some of the trends that we predict for 2024, as well as the path to purchase. What we mean by path to purchase is that journey between the moment travelers start to get inspired into the moment that they book, and understanding what happens between those 2 points. And finally, as mentioned, we'll dive into trends that we observe with the French travelers. So first thing first, trends that we expect to see in 2024. This research is a mix between trends that we observe through our first-party data, as well as a survey that we ran with 20,000 travelers in 14 markets. It's a snapshot, it's not all of it. I'll provide you with a link at the end of the presentation so that you can download it and see the full content. The first one, set jetting. It's a play of word, of course, with jet set, and it's a trend that started in 2023 and will continue to become very prominent in 2024. And it's basically travelers are getting inspired by destinations that they see on TV, in television shows, in movies. Actually, nearly half of travelers say that they have been inspired to research and book a destination that they've seen on a TV show or on a movie. You can see a few examples there, and it's something that we're continuing to see in 2024. And the recommendation here is that you use those destinations in your campaigns, in your content, and visually, it needs to be visually appealing. So video content is something that resonates very much with travelers when you're trying to connect with destinations that have been seen on TV shows. A second one is tour tourism. So you might be familiar with this one. There are big tours like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, to name a few that we know are driving travelers to travel to specific destinations. Actually, 70% of travelers said that they would travel far in order to attend a concert or a tour from their favorite artist. We're also seeing that they're happy to use this as an excuse to travel to a destination outside of their hometown. So the recommendation here is showcase the proximity of your destination, your property, transportation options close to those events, because we're seeing a drive in cultural tourism, and it's an opportunity that we're very much seeing continuing into 2024. You can see here some of the statistics. As I mentioned, 44% would travel for a concert as an excuse to visit a new destination. So gone are the days where you would only go to concerts that are happening in your town. We're seeing now travel led by this cultural tourism. The third one will come as no surprise, generative AI. We know that this took center stage in 2023 with the introduction of ChatGPT. We know that it's a big thing. However, in 2023, only 6% of travelers used ChatGPT and these tools in order to plan their trip. But what we're seeing is that more than half of the travelers would be keen to use these tools in order to start planning their travel. Why? Because it just simplifies the process. We all know it. It gives you access to more options, quicker, more tailored, and more personalized. So the recommendation here is, of course, embrace these tools. We know that there's a lot more coming. On Expedia, you might have seen that we've integrated ChatGPT into the platform, enabling travelers to look for personalized recommendations, and we're seeing this trend continue to grow. We know that travelers would be keen to use it in order to compare flight options, activities, and even destinations. As they go through the path to purchase. So the path to purchase, as I mentioned, is the journey between the moment that a traveler starts getting inspired to go to a destination and the moment that they actually book and travel there. It's a long path to purchase. I mean, we see that they consume a lot of content, on average 141 pages in the 45 days that lead to the booking. They go through different phases from inspiration to booking. There are lots of twists and turns. You know, it's not a linear journey. This is very clear. It's not, a traveler doesn't just decide to go to a destination and ends up booking that destination. There are lots of different touch points in that moment, and what it means is that it's an opportunity for marketeers to target those travelers during that journey. Now let's look specifically at the French travelers. So the initial inspiration phase is 40 days. It's actually quite long. That's the moment between the moment that they decide that they want to go on holiday and the moment that they actually start researching a destination. That's an opportunity for marketeers to target those French travelers. 39 days of research and planning, that's very much in par with other markets. It's not shorter, not longer. And 73 days between the moment they book and the moment that the trip begins. So that gives you an idea also of the booking window. Now, I think this is one of the most important slides, is where do they go to get inspired? Where do they look for that content? So we're seeing that OTAs, search engines, meta search, as well as airline travel sites and social media are good sources of inspiration. But what we're also seeing when it comes to the French travelers is that 90% of them are going to OTAs, which might come as a surprise. OTAs are not just a booking platform, they're actually being used for inspiration and content consumption. Along that journey, 23% of French travelers said that they were actually influenced by advertising. And within that, the two factors that influence them the most are visuals, so beautiful imagery, and deals, promotion and appealing offers for the destination that they're going to. Who is the French traveler? Who is the French traveler that travels? We see that the majority are two adults, so it could be couple or two adults traveling together, followed by solo travelers, which is an interesting trend. And what type of holidays do they take? This is what we observed for 2023. So up there are the city breaks for exploration and discovery, followed by beach and coast trip for relaxation and also discovery of new destinations and sightseeing. Timing is also an important thing to consider as marketeers when you're thinking of targeting the French traveler. And what we're seeing, you have in blue the searches, in green the bookings. Both are very much in line. And we're seeing really two key moments in that journey, and this is Q1 and Q3, where we're really seeing a peak in searches and in bookings. So right now is the moment to target those travelers if you want them to take a trip to your destination or to your property in 2024. And what device do they use in order to book? This is actually interesting because we're seeing that mobile is the most used for both searches and bookings, but we're also seeing that there is a decrease from searches to booking when it comes to mobile, which what this tells us is that they are using mobile for searches, comparison, and content consumption, but when it comes to booking, they actually turn to desktop. So I think if you're going to use this in your strategy, make sure that when it comes to inspiration, video content, and imagery, make sure that it's mobile and tablet friendly. We're seeing the same trends with tablet, but as you can see, at a much lower scale. Do they book as part of a package or do they book as standalone? We're very much saying that it's still, when it comes to the French traveler, it's still very much standalone. So when it comes to airline, ticket or hotel booking, they're still booking this individually. It can be the hotel first, it can be the airline first. We're seeing a bit of both, but it's not a surprise that travelers would also book their hotel before booking their airline ticket, because hotels are also a determining factor in choosing the destination that they go to. So to summarize really what we saw today in terms of recommendations for DMOs specifically, because as Media Solution, we work with DMOs in order to target the right traveler with the right message at the right time in the right place. So our recommendation when it comes to the French audience, utilize your awareness campaigns on OTAs, because we saw that travelers turn to OTAs in the early stages of their journey, so that inspiration and research phase. Beautiful imagery, we saw that it inspires them, it influences their decision, so make sure that you use native format, video content, and appealing destinations, creatives, and then mobile compatible creative is something that sometimes is overlooked. Think also about mobile and not just desktop. Your formats needs to be mobile friendly so that travelers can use that content, both on mobile and tablets. And this is it for me today. I wanted to give you a snapshot. There are a lot more trends that you can see if you take a snap of this QR code, or if you go to expedia.gp/research, you can see the full travel trends research, as well as the entire path to purchase, not just for France, but also for all of the markets that we run the study in. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Myriam. And from France, our next stop is the United Kingdom, and guiding us through the prospect of this market, we have the pleasure to have Ms. Susan Deere, Director of Industry Relations at the Association of British Travel Agents.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to be here, and thank you very much to UN Tourism for inviting us here to talk about the UK travel market. So really interesting to hear Myriam talk about the French market first, because there are some similarities, but as you'll see, there are also some contrasts. And similar to her, I've got 7 or 8 minutes today, so I'll just do a quick snapshot of some of the key trends, but I will highlight to you where you can find more information. So starting off, looking at annual research that we do, it's called Holiday Habits. This can be found freely available on our website, so a lot more information there for you. This is a consumer survey, and we basically, at a snapshot in time, ask consumers to look back for the previous 12 months at what they have been doing, but also to look forward to the following 12 months to see what they are planning. So the answers from the 12-month planning are, of course, now coming live for 2024. For the UK, from Christmas into January is traditionally our peaks market. Now, obviously, the last few years have been extremely unsettled. We haven't necessarily seen the same patterns of booking, but I'm pleased to report that this year, the peaks market for January has pretty much returned to normal. People are once again booking, particularly for their summer holidays now, but as you'll see, there are some other factors coming in. What we did with this holiday habits this year as well, we launched it last year, but looking ahead to 2024, is we also released for the first time what we called the Travel Confidence Index. How confident were people to travel? And this was, primarily a post-pandemic introduction, but also just generally in the context of what is going on in the broader world, just understanding people's confidence in being able to travel. And our tagline as ABTA is travel with confidence. That is what we want. We want customers to be happy to travel. And I'm pleased to say that, 3 times more people were confident to travel in 2024 than they were likely to be not confident. Looking at the destinations that UK travellers are going to, absolutely no surprise, Spain is always in top spot. It has always traditionally been the favourite market for UK travellers, and it remains there. The top 5 or 6 for UK travellers is normally round about the same. Some move up a place, down 2 places, but normally the top 5 or 6 are roughly the same. A couple have come up. Obviously, Turkey has done very well in the UK market over the last 12 months and looks to be having a positive prospect for 2024 as well. Ireland, our near neighbour, obviously, also doing well. And then the interesting one here, really, the one that's really shot up quite a number of places is Japan. And I think from speaking to members, from speaking to travellers indeed, a lot of that was plans that people had pre-pandemic to take a big holiday somewhere. And Japan had very much been in the UK consciousness. They'd had the Rugby World Cup and everything going on there. So everybody had been really looking at Japan as a fantastic destination. And I think that interest is picking up again now. There's more insight into the destination piece within the broader report. So the context, of course, you're all aware of. I don't think the UK market is massively different from other European markets. We obviously have geopolitical uncertainty. We're in an election year, as many others are, so we have our own political challenges at home as well. And of course, the general cost of living context. People are looking for value for money. That is the massive message that is coming through on all of the research. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean people are looking for cheap holidays. There's a difference. People are looking to feel like they are getting a really good deal for what they are paying. And that may mean making slight changes to your bookings. Maybe you travel for 10 days rather than 14. Maybe you look for something that's offering free child places or so on. But definitely that value for money is what they are looking for. The other trend that we have noticed is, and this is something that we've been speaking to destinations for a long time, about the shoulder seasons. And we are definitely seeing from the predictions for this year that periods like May and June are looking extremely positive for travel. So it's not just the traditional July, August school holidays now where UK travellers will be travelling. What is interesting is that in contrast to the French market, where you heard that they choose standalone bookings, what we are seeing is a return to package holidays, both to booking package holidays and also to booking through a travel agent or tour operator, using the businesses that customers feel they can trust, that they feel their money will be financially protected, but also that they will get all the information they need to make them feel confident and safe to travel. Another topic that we cover as part of our holiday habits research is sustainability. And we've been asking a series of questions around sustainability. dating back to, I think, about 2011. So there's quite a bit of information out there. Sustainability, is a massive topic for the UK market, as with other European travel markets. And I've put here just one of the insights from the report, but if this is an area that your business is focused on, or if you're interested in what the UK market thinks about sustainability in the travel context, please do have a look at the report, because there's a lot more there. From here, of course, you will see that the areas where people have concerns about the impact of their holiday are very much around what they find in destination, whether that be animal attractions, whether it be nature, whether it be the culture and heritage, and of course the importance of the local community and the benefit to the local community of the holiday that people take. But you'll have heard about the say-do gap, where people say things in response to a survey, but actually their behaviour when they go and book a holiday can be quite different to what they say their intentions are. So this year, for the first year, as well as asking people, what do you plan to do? We also asked them, what did you actually do when you booked your holidays? And, it won't come as a massive surprise to you that there is quite a gap between how many people said something and how many people actually did something. And as just one example, something like 44% of people said that they would look for a hotel that offered a better environmental standard, better sustainability standards. But in reality, when it came to the question about how many of you did that, it was around 10% of people said yes, that actually was a factor in the choice of our holidays. Now, you could take that as, oh, well, it's not that important then. But what I would say to you is go and have a look at the report, because what you'll see is that although each individual action, so whether it would be choosing a hotel, choosing rail, choosing a nearby holiday rather than a long haul, didn't get 50%, 60% of actions, when you add them all up, over half of the people that responded to the survey had taken an action, one action. And that's where it starts, with one little action, and then it develops from there. So certainly sustainability will continue to be a big part of the research that we do going forwards. Another report we have available, again available on our website for you to have a look at. And this is, going back to what was said earlier about the inspiration piece of the holiday. So, coming out of a cold December into, well, it's a warm January here, but I can assure you it's a cold January back in London, inspiring people to maybe choose somewhere a little different for their holiday, to not necessarily go to the same old places that they've been in the past. And the reason we did this is because in the original report, the Holiday Habits Report, 47% of people said they'd like to try out a new city or a new resort, and 41% of people said, actually, I'd like to try a whole new country that I haven't been to before. Also, 58% said that they'd also like to have a holiday in the UK as well as having a holiday abroad, so having multiple holidays in 1 year. So these are just some of the destinations that are highlighted in the destinations to watch. As I say, that is a really swift snapshot of the UK market. There's a lot more information available on our website, abta.com, or please connect with me on LinkedIn or otherwise. I'm happy to chat to you. Obviously, other than this work, ABTA, as the largest UK travel association, we do a lot of other work around lobbying, around health, safety and security in travel, around crisis response. So happy to talk to you about any of those topics which may be of interest to you. But thank you again for having the opportunity to present a little taster of what the UK market will be doing in 2024. I wish you a very good FITUR and see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank Thank you so much, Susan. And our European tour continues towards Italy. And to present, we have Mr. Fabrizio Angelo, Global Director of Industry Affairs at TripAdvisor.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Thank you, Jon, and the affiliate members and UN Tourism, no more UNWTO, for the invitation. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here and give you a snapshot on Italy. It wasn't made on purpose. I'm Italian. It wasn't made on purpose, I hope. So this is who I am. I'll be staying around here, so if you have any question, there's also my email. I know that the UN is going to share the presentation, so if you have any question, doubts, you want to chat about anything, please get in touch. So before we deep dive into Italy, we also wanted to share a very quick snapshot on 2023. And overall, the positive news is that it was a great year for travel. On TripAdvisor, we heard Expedia earlier, ABTA, it was a very good year. We recovered a lot of traffic. When we talk about travel intent, which for us is very much down the funnel, so you have people that go on TripAdvisor and other platforms for inspiration, and then when you go down the funnel, you have a little bit more intention to book. So what we define as travel intent is actually users on our platform clicking to book accommodations. So it's pretty much down the funnel, people that are very, very, they're ready to travel. So we saw that it went very well. EMEA especially recovered pretty much during the entire 12 months of last year. And when we look at, and accounted for 40% of the global traffic overall, so it was a very strong performance. And when we look at Italy, it was third source market in 2022 for us. And by source market, we mean Italian travelers going on TripAdvisor, clicking to book accommodations. We went on the fourth place last year, 2023, we're already in 2024. But still, it's in the top 5, so one of the key markets for us and for the travel industry in general. So the data and insights that I'll show you today are a mix of site behavioral data, so people that go on TripAdvisor, behave what they do, their travel path, their path to purchase, all the research that they do, and some statistics that we got from a consumer survey that we run every quarter analyzing every single season. So the last one that we ran was in November, and we spoke with people asking them about their winter travel, so mid-December, mid-March, so we're still into it. And 70% of Italians told us that they were planning to travel during the winter season. 56% domestically, 25% internationally, and a good 19% both domestically and internationally. I think Susan from ABTA was telling earlier the issues that we're seeing in terms of the macroeconomic factors, the unstable situation we're living in, unfortunately. So we ask our consumers, our users, what do you think about that? Is it going to have an impact on your plans during the winter? And 47% of them said one way or the other, the macroeconomic factors and the overall world we're living in today are going to have an impact on my trips. And you'll see what they're doing. They'll take shorter trips, they'll vacation closer to home to reduce costs, they will take, unfortunately, fewer trips, or they will vacation with the smaller groups. So this survey, all the results of the survey, not just the Italian survey, but also the other countries are on our website. So I invite you to go through it. There's a lot of information. But as you can see, almost one Italian out of two, 49% of them is going to spend less than 950 euros for their winter travels. And when you look at the highest expenses, so the ones that goes from 2,300 up to 15, 16, 20,000, Italians were the ones with the lowest share. So compared to the other markets, Italians are going to spend slightly less in 2023 and 2024 winter trips. Average booking value, average length of stay. Average booking value is the price that people pay per night in accommodations, and average length of stay is the amount of day that, of course, they spend, the amount of nights, rather, that they spend outside of their home. When you look at the yellow bar, which is 2023, and the green bar that is 2022, we can see that there was a very good progression. We had an increase of 19% in average booking value in all trips, domestic and international. So 2023, people travel a little bit longer, not that much longer, if you can see. We went from 2.83 nights to 3.04, so the difference is not huge, but people were spending more. So they were staying a bit, similar days, similar amount of nights outside, but the amount of money they were willing to spend and they actually are spending is higher. So we also wanted to share the demand to and from Italy. When we say demand to Italy, means people, they go on TripAdvisor, both travelers and locals, they look at Italian destinations or abroad destinations. And from, well, that means from, of course, and to is people from anywhere in the world looking at Italian destinations. As you can see, the trend lines are very, very, very similar. The good thing is that Italians, of course, they spiked during the summer. We saw with Expedia earlier as well. But the good thing about international travelers coming to Italy is that also in Q1 and the spring, rather, they had a very strong interest in coming to Italy and spending their time and their money in the country. So this is a snapshot of all the countries, the top 10 of countries that were looking at Italy as their travel destination. The majority of those are European countries, no surprise. US is almost always number one. And I think the interesting thing is that Australia and Brazil, which were not in the top 10 in 2022, are in the top 10, at the bottom of the top 10 in 2023. That means that it was a good promotion made by the Italian government also towards newish markets to attract new tourists to the country. So these are the popular destinations for travelers in Italy and locals on the left side. And on the right side, you can see Italians looking at abroad destinations. So basically, what do locals and foreign travelers look when they're in Italy? Where do they want to go? And on the right side, what are the cities around the world that Italians are looking at and want to travel to? I think the best news is that 87% of Italian travelers told us during this winter season, I'm going to travel for leisure. And this excludes business travel. So Italians want to travel, want to spend their holidays outside of the country or within the country. And almost 90% of them, 85% of them are going to spend the same amount of money or even more compared to what they did in 2022. So once again, people are spending a bit more, splurging a bit more on their holidays, which is very, very interesting and very good. And I think Expedia was showing a slide, similar slides earlier. Italians prefer to stay in hotels when they have to pick their accommodations. 64% of them said, I want to stay in a hotel. And the type of experience that hotels give me is critical for the success of my holidays. What do they do? What do we do as Italians when we travel the world? First thing first, we want to do cultural stuff, we want to do sightseeing, and there's a decline of nature. During the pandemic, nature was always number one. Anywhere in the world, people wanted to stay outside, in nature, enjoy parks, enjoy beaches. Now it's slightly in decline in favor of cultural sightseeing. You can see also wellness and spa had a very, very, very strong growth in Italy and everywhere, I would say, in Europe and the world. And when we look specifically at what are the things that attract travelers to Italy, we can see that Italian landmarks are top of the list. Sites and landmark, outdoors, of course, a beautiful space, and cultural sites. The majority of the cultural sites are actually religious sites, churches, everything related to religious tourism. So moving ahead from 2023 and 2023-2024 winter season, let's have a look at the entire 2024 year. And we tried to, this comes from one of the surveys that we ran, and we were asking people, okay, when are you traveling in 2024? In which month or months? Because more people said, they gave us more than an answer. You will be traveling during the entire year. No surprise, summer is a very strong peak for Italians. Spring is going to be very good as well. And January and December, so these long holiday breaks coming from December 23 to January 24, and then December 24 to January 25 also spiked, which was a bit of a surprise compared to previous years, and we're very happy about that. So to wrap it up, what are the key travel trends that we foresee in 2024 for Italians, but not only Italians, overall global travelers? The power of experiences. We know that people now, we're moving as an economy, I would say, from a good-driven economy to an experience-driven economy. People don't want to buy stuff, people want to buy experiences, want to enjoy the place where they stay, they want to immerse themselves in the place that they visit. So this is a very powerful industry. In 2022, it accounted for $253 billion US. We're still waiting for the figures of 2023, but Viator, which is a company that belongs to TripAdvisor and that sells experiences, in Q3 of 2023 outperformed Q3 of 2024 by 60%. And we think that this is kind of the trend that we're going to see when we're going to have the full data of 2023. It's a very, very powerful and growing side of our industry. Travel demand remains unshakable. People want to travel, even though there's a lot of issues, macroeconomic factors, life costs more, there are uncertainties because of wars. Still, people want to travel. They're going to find different solutions. They're going to take fewer trips. They're going to vacation closer to home, but they're going to spend more, which is very important. And we saw that the majority of them are going to stay in hotels. And last but not least, I think Myriam from Expedia was touching on it as well, personalization. People want to have incredible experience, unique experiences. We're sort of starting to create a digital concierge that will help people explore the world in a unique way. We have it on TripAdvisor as well. We launched it last year, and we help people, our travelers, our users, to design the perfect trip, from hotels to attractions, experiences, restaurants. And this is the direction in which we're going as an industry, focusing on this aspect. And we're still seeing a bit of a lack of consumer traction. According to our latest study with MMGY, 16% of travelers told us, I'm using Gen AI to help myself and my family and my friends to plan the trip. 70% on the other side of the spectrum of DMO professionals told us, well, we do invest in that technology. We do want to move people towards the use of this technology. So it's going to be a very interesting challenge for 2024. Hope it was interesting, and I'll be available for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio. And since we are in Madrid, we couldn't forget about Spain. And for that, we have at Trevia, Ms. Rebecca Rico, Director of Social Listening and Digital Intelligence, who will be presenting consuming patterns for travel for Spanish travelers.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning to all. And of course, welcome to Fitur, but most especially welcome to Spain. I hope you can enjoy your time here, not only doing business, but also enjoying our great country. Let us begin with our insights to the key outbound markets. Well, that's just an outline of what we're going to see. Potential of the Spanish outbound market. As you may know, we love to travel, but every day we travel more, and we start traveling younger and travel till later in life. This means that in Spain we have a broad market of people who are willing to travel outbound. Specifically, we are talking about around 20 million trips in 2023 to foreign markets, and we expect these trips to increase. When asking Spanish tourists if they were willing to travel this year, 54% said they wanted to travel even more. And out of those 54% tourists, almost half wanted to travel abroad. So that's what we're looking at. Destinations where we love to go. Of course, Europe is our main destination. Portugal, our neighbors, one of our favorite and our main place to go. But we also like traveling to France, Andorra, Italy. Unfortunately, Brexit has reduced our trips to the UK. I'm hoping that we can solve that soon. But new destinations also are rising, specifically Spanish-speaking countries, due to what we will see later, influence from cultural aspects like music and the film industry. So destinations as Colombia are starting to be one of our favorites, and we will see an increase of those global trips this year as well. Other destinations like the Middle East and North Africa, that sound exotic to us, are starting on the rise. Although, as we all know, certain geopolitical factors might be influencing that growth this year. Travel patterns and habits. I don't know if you all know that we have many festivities in Spain and national holidays, 22 official ones, plus all the rest that we tend to invent and create. Our holidays are slightly longer than usual. Our summer begins in June, ends in September. Children don't have school for 2 months, which means that families tend to travel a lot in that period. And our Christmas begins on the 22nd of December with the National Lottery and finishes on the 7th of January. So during that period, we will also see most Spanish families traveling. Holy Week, of course, is a must. More and more families travel abroad during that time, but also during specific dates. For example, in December, we have 2 national holidays on the 6th and the 8th of December, which means that most Spanish people try to have a whole week holiday there and travel abroad as well. So it's really worth looking into our specific calendar. Other habits, how much do we spend when we go abroad? We spend a lot more when we leave Spain, but it is important that we understand that Spain has 17 autonomous communities and each one has a different spending pattern. Approximately the average is about 70 euros per day when they stay in the country, and that's 20% more when we travel abroad, a growth which has increased from 5% in 2019 all the way to that 20% last year. We do think that due to economic factors, closer to the end of 2024, that growth might stagger a little bit, but it's still quite an increase. Recommendations to digital marketing offices. Well, we must understand what is our audience looking for in Spain. As I said at the beginning, we have a very broad range of tourists with very different interests, but what they are all looking for is experiences. Wine tourism, wellness tourism, film tourism. We want to live memories that we can capture not only on Instagram but also for the future. So that's what we are looking for, but also trips that adapt to our way of living. That we are seeing an increase in solo vacations, in digital nomads, and also, despite as Susan was saying that sometimes there's a gap between what we say and what we do, sustainability is also a factor for us. It won't be a deal breaker, but it will be something that we are looking for and that we like to have, as we can see in some of our national hoteliers like Grupo Meliá with their luxury sustainable net zero hotel. What we also need to keep in mind is our consumers aren't going to the brands, they are dealing with brands and companies that live in their own ecosystem, that connect with their own interests, with their habits, with what they want to see. Therefore, if we want to reach them, we have to be in their world. We have to be in the series and films that they watch. We have to live on their channels. We have to be in their environment, whether that is the metaverse, online or offline. We need to be a peer for them, someone who they connect with, and that they understand that with us, they are going to continue living the way they want to. Some examples of practices that we have been seeing with our customers are, for example, with Ryanair in Spain and the foundation Pequeño Deseo, they enabled 18 children with their families to visit Disneyland Paris during the Christmas season. And this is an example of how brands now need to be a lot more than just a solution partner. They need to share a connection, values, and interests with their customers. Also, in the case of Ohio, what they are enabling are outdoor sustainable but luxurious tourism solutions, which again are aligned with those values and what the tourists are looking for nowadays. This is just a small glance of what we are looking for and looking at in 2024. But of course, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to talk after the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Now we are just going to our last market from Europe, Germany. And I have the pleasure to invite to the stage to Mr. Andrés Sánchez Cid, Product Management and Innovation Manager for Travel at Allianz Partners.
Gracias. Well, hello, good morning. Well, first of all, thank you to the UN Tourism for inviting us today. Once again, one more year. So we're very happy to be here at Fitur with you guys. And secondly, well, my name is Andrés Sánchez Cid, Product Management Innovation Manager for Allianz Partners. For those who don't know who is Allianz Partners, we are a company belonging to the Allianz Group, we are the leaders in travel insurance, and we protect and we provide safety to travelers all around the world 24/7. So as a travel insurer, we also like to know what travelers do, where they're going to travel, what are their, how they book their trips, and so on. So we are very happy to hear all these insights and also to provide some insights regarding the German market. Now, first of all, we'd like to have an understanding of the current economic situation of Germany, right? We're coming down from high levels of inflation. Good news is that this is going to be more steady in the following years. However, the GDP growth, well, it's not so optimistic at least for this year. We've come through the past years also below, let's say, the levels of the Eurozone, but that will maybe change in the near future. Now, regarding German travel industry, we've seen a quick recovery from 2022 from the pandemic. It is true that it will continue to grow, as we all hope and desire, and we believe in it. It will be a bit slower. The thing is that in Germany, it will be a little bit slower than the different regions or European countries. For example, you see there that Germany has a CAGR of 5% approximately, and a little bit below Europe with 6.2, 6.3. Now, we've seen that, and we know that travel is becoming a little bit more expensive. We see this is an evolution of the travel, let's say, expenditure per person in the last years, and we see, especially in the last 2 years, how this increase is really, it's really big, it's really high. The reasons we know about this, I mean, oil crisis, conflicts, political instability. We know that this and inflation, these are factors that increase that impact on the travel prices. But we also wanted to highlight these four factors. In Germany, it is legally required to include an insolvency protection on the holiday packages. So that will impact at the end on the wallet for the travelers. Legal compensation, delays are growing, so legal compensation, in fact, is going to grow from the airlines. Airport fees, security fees, these also have a big impact, such as the shortage in luggage staffing. And also, we're seeing longer flight routes. That's, of course, due to avoiding certain conflict zones, and the flights at the end are not optimized, and this has an impact. However, despite of that, travel and tourism is still on the top of mind of Germans. I mean, when they want to decide where to spend their money, we see that travel is still in the top of mind, above other topics such as electronics or home improvements, for example. But of course, financial constraints are there. We've seen it before in the situation, right? And it's quite common in in the different countries from Europe, also US, Canada. I mean, the financial constraints are there. But if we ask, and we see this, of course, as well, when we ask our travelers that have been traveling in the past 12 months, what are their intentions for the next 12 months, right? So we see that here, 15% would say they will plan more, 15% they will plan less. So it's well equalized in that sense. What it's curious to see is that Germans, the average trips per year has been 2.9, which has been a little bit below other European countries. In fact, I saw the figure from Italians. It was 3.0, 3.1, the average. So we're most aligned there. When we look at the, however, I mean, they travel less, but they travel longer. Their stays are longer, they spend more, longer holidays. This means that also they would be spending more. But when we ask for their intentions in the future, more people would plan less duration of the trip. So it might be a bit lowering down those figures. Regarding destinations, so a large volume of German travelers focus their outbound, let's say, destinations in Europe, especially Mediterranean countries, such as Italy, Spain, Turkey, and you know, in Germany there's a large population of Turkish in Germany, also Greece, but we also see Austria and Benelux are quite important for German travelers. In terms of booking, we see, and this is, well, not surprising for us, that online channels or online booking is the priority, the preferred option for Germans, more than face-to-face. We can see the evolution over there. However, we think that face-to-face is still important because at the end, travelers need advice, need recommendations. They need also trust, someone that knows about the industry, where to go, how to go, and so on. So we would recommend also not to forget about face-to-face channels for the travelers. In terms of booking as well, so we see that Germans prefer to book holiday packaged tours or trips more than booking separately. We see that in last year, the booking of accommodation separately has grown a little bit of weight. This could be explained because of Germans that, well, they will be thinking a bit more where to spend their money, trying to save some money maybe from those packages. In terms of accommodation, hotels are the, let's say, first priority with high difference of vacation apartments. Interesting also to see that campsites are also really an interesting factor of accommodation for the Germans when they travel. Now, we want to also give some data of the winter period. Now that we're in winter, so previously the winter period, we asked travelers their intentions for this winter. So we see that travelers will be traveling less than the previous year, and they would prefer to travel in the first months of the winter period and not the last ones. In terms of destination, not much difference. Within it's a neighboring country, not a neighboring country within my country. We don't see much difference over there. In terms of, let's say, length of their trips, we see that Germans it's more common for them to spend or looking for more than one long weekend, from 4 to 6 to 9 nights. Also, a travel spend around 500 to 1,500. The type of trips for this winter period, well, we don't see, again, much difference. I mean, it could be a relaxing sun and beach holiday, or some sports, nature, outdoors holiday, or even a city break. We highlighted also the top international destinations for this winter period, where we have Spain, Italy, Czech Republic, Austria, and France. Now, as a travel insurer, we wanted to bring some data regarding travel insurance. We believe it's important for the industry. And the curious topic here for Germany is that it's not so optimistic compared to other countries. We see that there's an evolution, a growth of 3% CAGR in terms of value, not volume. And this might be because, this is due to probably the increase of the travel premiums, okay, travel insurance premiums. At the end, if travel prices go higher, travel premiums also as well. Now, for the short Now for the, sorry. Now, what I say, yeah. So we have standalone policies and annual policies. In Germany, it's very common to have annual policies. So the growth, I mean, we see an opportunity for annual policies due to the fact that the Germans maybe won't be purchasing as an add-on a specific travel insurance for that trip. But instead they will be also protected because of the annual policy. So we also have, and we see an opportunity for the different organizations to also offer annual policies here, so that Germans don't purchase the policy or the travel insurance as an add-on, trying to save money. So wrap up, and I'm finishing. So number one, travel prices, we know they're rising, recovery will be slower than the Eurozone. But important, travel is still the top of mind of Germans. Financial concerns are the first reason for not to travel. Online channels, again, are the preferred option, but again, face-to-face is still important. During this winter period, Germans will be traveling less, and it is not expected a big growth in travel insurance. However, we see an opportunity on annual premiums for the German market. So thank you very much, and I'll leave the microphone to Juan Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andres. Now we are going to start moving away from Europe, and the first market that we are going to look into, the first two markets from outside Europe, are going to be US and Canada. And we are going to have the pleasure of having Mr. Nikolaos Golfinopoulos to present these two markets, Head of Tourism of ICF.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And much more of a pleasure. It's an honor to be here with you, Ion, and thank you for inviting us. So my name is Nikolaos Golfinopoulos. I am the head of tourism of ICF. ICF is an American consultancy. We have offices in the US, in the UK, in Europe, in Spain, in Brussels, in India, and other smaller offices. So today, I will not be able to go in so many details as my previous colleagues because I have two markets to cover. So we will focus on both the US and Canada. Initially, I was thinking, how am I going to do this? Am I going to focus on both as North America? Are they similar? So should I sum it up and then give more space to go more into details? But through our work, we found out that there are many differences. So we need to treat them separately. So when you think of USA and Canada, don't think them as North America. You have to see it as individual markets. So in this presentation, what we will do, we will focus first on the USA outbound insights with an overview of the country and some key statistics, following with some trends. And then the same we will do for Canada. And we will start now with the USA. I think, yeah. Here we are, USA outbound market insights. So what do we know about USA in general? What do we understand about USA, right? So the population is very big. It's one of one of the most populous countries in our world. It's not the most, of course. We have India, China, etc. But it's still one of the most populous. The average salary is around 56,000 per year, and this is the 2023 estimates. With a minimum wage, this is why I put it here, because depending on the market that you want to focus, the segment of the market that you want to focus, then you are either speaking to people that are having less salary, or you can go to up to luxury travelers that have more salary than what we see here. Number of holidays within the year. This is very important because it shows us the capacity that the Americans have to travel. And here we have a change maker, not only for the US, but also for Canada and some other key source markets. Usually we know that the US is not really into taking a lot of holidays because it's not part of the culture. However, we have now the possibility to telework. We have the possibility to go to other destinations and work from there. So here, if you're a destination and you want to attract the US traveler, have in mind that you need policies and taxation policies for the companies that can allow, for the American companies that can allow their employees to go and work from abroad. Here are some other interesting insights for you to see, to understand, depending on the city that they are from, what is the average monthly income and what is the average monthly rent, because this will give you an understanding of how much money they have left to use it for travel purposes. And now, I didn't include it as another table because I will fill you up with data later on. We have to know what is the average spending for 2023 of an American traveler. So more or less, it was around 400, a little bit less, daily expense. However, when they travel to Europe, this raises up to 600. When they're traveling to North America, be that Mexico, be that Canada, this gets lower. So we need to understand a little bit, so where are we as a destination when we want to attract the American traveler, to have in mind how much they're willing to spend, right? But let's go with some key statistics now. So US citizen departures to international regions. Here I have this graph to understand what has happened in the years from 2019, which was our base year, until the pandemic finished, and in 2023. So we see the recovery, of course, it's happening, and here we also see the year-of-year change of the year departures. So we see the growth, it's there, so the recovery is coming. It's in alignment with the data that UN Tourism Organization published. Outbound US citizens, Jan to October. So where they, this is the sources from the International Trade Administration, and where did they travel to? Here we see Mexico, Canada, Europe, the Caribbean, and way less we see some other destinations, some other regions of the world. And I can help you visualize that better, seeing the growth compared to the previous year, because we might see Asia and Oceania being quite low, but here we just have seen the start of them coming back, of bouncing back, which means that these regions will start growing more and more as we move on to 2024 and 2025. And this is to visualize better the market share of the outbound American traveler. So we have the majority going, not the majority, 36.1% going to Mexico, followed by Europe, 21.4%, Euro as a whole, as a group, and Canada, 13.6%. You see here, Oceania is still very slow, very low, and same for Asia and Africa, but they're bouncing back. So now, following with some other statistics. Here, what do we see? We see the total travel and tourism exports of US to Canada, Mexico, and Europe. So here's the difference. The bouncing back to Europe was, of course, faster. And we see that in Canada, they have almost recovered, but in Mexico, they are about to surpass. And this is up to 2022. This is the availability of data that we had. So in 2023, the data are not yet released as a whole year. This is why it's not included. But we see that we were already en route for recovery the year before. US spending in Canada. So what I try to do now with this exercise, I try to see the inbound statistics of the key receiving destinations, and one of these was Canada. So how was the spending of the US traveler to Canada? We see that in 2023, both in Q1 and Q2, we were way better than in 2022. And the percentage change is 144 in Q1 of 2023, so a big difference, and 94% in 2020 in the Q2 of 2023. And finally, Australia. Why Australia? There are cultural links between US, Canada, and the Commonwealth in general, in between them, right? So, source IVS Australia, one of my favorite countries when it comes to statistics. They do amazing work. So what do we see here in 2023, up to October, how much the expenditure as a whole of the US traveler? We see that it has a steady process if we see the percentage spent in Australia compared to the overall trip. So half of the spending of the American traveler when they decided to travel abroad and go to Australia, maybe to some other destinations, half of the spending was spent in Australia. And then you can see a little bit in what type of activities they used their money for. So we have Europe for 2022 and Mexico. And of course, here we see some differences. Travel in general, they spend way more money in Europe than in Mexico. But when we go to see business, because there is business travel, and this is, of course, it's in thousands, and it's as a whole, when we see the business, they spend way more in Mexico. Why? Because, of course, they have stronger ties, business ties in Mexico, being a nearby destination. And now we will finish with the statistics and we'll go to the narratives. So no more numbers. What we should expect about the Canadian traveler in 2024. Seeking value for money, and this is in alignment with what other presenters were saying, amidst economic uncertainty. Embracing experiential travel over material purchase. So again, of course, experiences are coming up in the agenda of the US traveler. Navigating travel with technology as enabler. Yes, it's true that they're using AI. They're trying to use easy check-in through their mobiles. They want to be able to use technology in the destination. When they go, they want an augmented, let's say, experience. Not only enough technology experience, but they want an augmented. They don't want a completely immersed technology experience yet. Prioritizing wellness and rejuvenation, and this is important also for the boomers, or what we now see as a new trend, active boomers as a segment. Returning to faraway destinations. So we saw that up to 2023, the US traveler did not go back to visit the whole world. But the trend shows that they're returning back to Asia, they're returning back to Oceania, to Australia, and to small island destinations. Elections and political uncertainties. We need to be careful because the expected growth might be slightly halted due to the elections period in the US, and it's a big impact, and the global political outlook might affect confidence. And lastly, balancing luxury with responsible tourism. This is a new trend, a new combination. Of course, individually, the trends were there, but this is a new combination of we want luxury, but we also want to be responsible. We want to have the ability to enjoy ourselves, but we want to also give back to the community. And let's move to Canada now. Again, similar structure, right? So what we have here, population with the 2023 estimates, average salary being 54,000 per year, a number of holidays, similarly to the US 10. And again, we have the same challenges that we need to take into account. Canadian travelers tend to telework more. They're happy to be more nomads, digital nomads, than the US. So if you want to attract them, then as a destination, again, you need to create the environment for this to happen. And here is again, a number which compares the average monthly income and the average monthly rent in different big cities of Canada. Now, again, when it comes to spending, the average spending of Canadians in 2023 was higher than the one of the US. They spend around $600 daily for their travels. Now, they have the similar trend. If they travel to Europe, this is being raised to $700. If they're traveling to Mexico or to the US, this is getting decreased even more of what we saw in the US. They go up to almost half. So outbound tourism in Canada. This is what we saw happening in the pandemic, of course, expected. But here from the Statistics Canada, one phrase that I really liked, and I took it and I took the bits and pieces and put it together. Canadians travel abroad in June 2023 were about 653,000, right? This was a 14 increase from 2022 and almost a good rebound of 79.8% of 2019, which is our base year. And here the forecast on Canadian travel to the US. in 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027, we see that Canada is rebounding very, very well and also surpassing the previous levels. And this is, of course, from the source from the US Travel Association. Destination percentage increase in searches by Canadians, according to Skyscanner. This is one of the destinations that the Canadians are now looking into, with Japan coming up very highly, and also some interesting destinations like Turks and Caicos, Aruba, and Taiwan. Now, Canadian spending in Australia, again, I use the same data to see how was the spending in Australia. Still, we see the same, that from the overall trip, half of it was dedicated in Australia. And of course, very good news from Mexico, saying, with the Minister of Tourism saying that we see that Canada, 61.6% is spending more in Mexico than before. And now, finally, the trends that we must take into account for Canada. Embracing slow travel and immersive experience. They travel for more. They spend more time now in the destination. Prioritizing sustainability and eco-conscious practices. They're way more sensitized on this matter. Embracing wellness and self-care during travel. Leveraging technology to enhance the travel experience. Balancing family-friendly activities with personal pursuits. So here another combination that we need to make sure that we allow for the Canadian travelers to have. Economy. The economy of Canada will struggle to grow in 2024. This was big news in the end of last year. And the voices on a recession in Canada might affect the willingness and the confidence of Canadians to travel. So please, if you're focusing on this market, take this into account. And lastly, embracing responsible tourist practices and supporting local communities. So this is for me. Thank you.
Now our journey takes us to East, and we want to explore India. Mr. Thomas George, Associate Director of Planning at Stack Communications, will guide us through the consumption patterns of the Indian traveler.
Thank you. Thank you, Javier. Hello. Namaskaram from the most populous country in the world. Today India is celebrating its Republic Day, where the Indian Constitution was inaugurated in 1950. So I'm from Stark Communications. We've been involved in tourism destination marketing for almost 30 years now, promoting various Indian destinations across the world, including India Tourism and Kerala Tourism, which we've been a partner for a long, long time now. What I've done here is I've collated a lot of information and intelligence from credible sources across various studies, and also applied the insights that we have in targeting the Indian traveler or the Indian tourist for the last 30 years. So the intent is firm. And there is a great momentum as far as travel is concerned. And access to travel has multiplied many times in the last few years. And there is enough knowledge to become a traveler rather than stay as a tourist, which the Indian traveler was for a long, long time. And the pockets are deepening. There is money, people are willing to splurge. So if you look at the stats on board here, probably India is one of the fastest growing outbound markets in the world, and it is expected to continue to grow in the next 20 years, which means India will be in the top of the list of almost all countries in the world when they're targeting tourists tomorrow or travelers tomorrow. So if you look at that McKinsey report, which says the Indian numbers will become 80 million by 2040. Today we look at India, there are only 80 million passport holders in India. So to have 80 million trips out of that in 20 years or so is going to be a big growth period. And the amount of money that is being spent has multiplied big time, as I mentioned in the beginning. India was never there in the top spenders list earlier. Suddenly India's come up and it is in 6th position today, which means there will be a rapid rise again. And there are studies which saying the intent to spend on travel is growing very fast across all, different groups of travelers. Why is this happening? It is happening because the economy is growing fast, and also the number of people who are becoming affluent is growing. Unlike the West, where the markets that we spoke about earlier till now, they're all markets who've been well-versed with traveling across the world, taking a holiday as a habit, which was non-existent as far as India is concerned. It existed only for a few set of people in India. So today, that has grown. The number of people who are affluent has grown, and the intent of travel has also come in big time. So, and they also know how to spend money. In sense, they are, well-versed with spending money digitally, booking, buying things digitally. They are well-versed with using the credit cards while traveling. So the kind of traveler that is today, that Indian traveler is, a much changed traveler. And there are also, like, the number of affluents have grown, so the millionaires are growing. And probably the next 20 years, we'll see the maximum number of millionaires coming out of India rather than any other part of the world, which means there will be enough and more people which will, who's got very big amount of money to spend on holidays. And where do we travel? When we think of travel, as I mentioned earlier, we're still a, early travel or a beginning to travel. So we think region first. People think, okay, let's go to Europe. Or maybe I'll go somewhere nearby. I'll go to West Asia. Or I'll go to Far East. I'll go to the US. So I think of where I want to go from a region point of view. Then I decide where to go there. So then some of the ideas that has come to me that I have received as an advertisement or in my reading or in a movie or in a place like that will pop up. But first it is the region that I'm going to decide. So across various reports, this is largely a list that I've put together across various reports, where I'm saying Europe is still the very top market. And there is a reason why Switzerland is up there. I'll tell you the reason in one of the subsequent slides. Switzerland, France, Spain, Italy, and UK are very strong markets as far as the Indian is concerned from a dream point of view. Okay, this is where I want to travel, from that point of view. Then the nearby markets, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Maldives, all of them are very strong markets for India. And if you look at the chart here, it actually speaks about a lot of countries in the last 2 years have opened up visas for travel, free visa, like you don't need visa to travel for an Indian. That number is growing. And what is happening is a lot of people are traveling to those countries, which is an interesting phenomenon because the time taken by visa to travel to a lot of countries is very difficult and the time is very high, which is a determining factor when I want to travel. For Indians, that visa-free countries are going up and those countries are actually getting more tourists from India, which has been the case with countries like Azerbaijan and quite a few countries like that. And even if the visa to US is difficult, people still travel. They want to go. They're still traveling. And people are creating enough reasons to travel. It is not just, okay, I want to take a holiday. It is about, I want to go there. That's a must-do thing. I have to go there kind of a thing. And there are popular places, which are also easy places, like Thailand. From a large part of India, Thailand, there are direct connectivity today, and just very 3.5 hours flight. So which means I can go there, because you should imagine that the place where I come from and the national capital, by flight is 3.5 hours, which means almost at the same time, I can reach Dubai, I can reach Thailand, I can reach Singapore. In lesser time, I can reach Maldives and Sri Lanka. So those factors come into play when I decide to travel as to where do I want to go. What is another factor apart from affluence that has triggered travel big time is the aviation sector. The domestic air connectivity in India has grown up multiple times, and international connections have grown multiple times. So today, if you look at this chart here, the international market, the one at the top, the Indigo. Indigo came up probably in the last 16, 17 years. They started the international in the last 6 or 7 years, and they have the largest share today in terms of market, overtaking all the other airlines, Indian as well as foreign. So that is, again, helping travel to pick up in a faster manner. And I have my few Indian colleagues sitting here. If I ask any of them, where is this place, Ambikapur, in India, most of them will not know. Because it is in the heartland of India, somewhere in the middle of this list. From there, today, a person can travel to New York in one hop, because the person can travel to New Delhi, and from there, there's a straight flight to New York, which has changed the way people think of holidays, which has changed the way they pick destinations, which has changed the way they think about all those things. And increasingly, it is becoming a year-round traveler. You will get Indian traveler from India almost all times across the year, as long as the weather that I'm visiting of the visiting country is suitable to me or that I like about it. Unlike most other markets, Christmas and New Year is not a big holiday in India. It is because we just have 1 day Christmas holiday. We have New Year, some offices work, some don't work. But even then, it is that period of time that people travel most. People take holidays and travel. That is, because it is a habit that they've picked up from the other parts of the world. That is where they've seen people visiting them. That is where it has come from. And March to May is, again, a big period because that's when the school and college vacations are. Family trips happen mostly, long family trips happen mostly during that time. And there is a difference. As I said, it's a vast country. Some part of the country, it is March and April, there is summer holidays. Some part of the country, it is April and May. So it changes. Those things keep changing. And if you look at which are segments that are growing, there are multi-generational families that are traveling. Earlier, 5 years back, it was difficult to see a big Indian family traveling together for a long holiday on an outbound trip. But today you will see them a lot. And so is couples. The silvers, as we call the seniors, are traveling big time. Because today we have a large population of Indians who are retired, who's got good money at bank, whose kids have married and have moved out. So they are traveling, and they are traveling in groups mostly. So that is a key market to look at. And the last one, if you look at it, that is also growing now because the number of Indian kids who have gone out to study across Europe, across US has gone up multiple times. Visiting them is becoming, and having an extended holiday is becoming another trend. So that is also happening now. And as the TripAdvisor presenter said in the beginning, events have become big magnets for people to travel. There are people waiting for concerts to be announced, wherever it is in the world. If it is a favorite band or a singer or a performer, they are traveling. So they are doing it. And events like sporting events are becoming a big reason to travel in the recent times. Like the ICC Cricket World Cup that is going to happen in US and the Caribbean islands. There are a lot of Indians who are already booked their tickets and ready to move to those places. And from how we book, there are, a lot of young ones who want to do it on their own. They will do it without any help. Because they are reading, they are looking up, they are savvy as far as internet is concerned. So they are doing it on their own. But the older travelers that we mentioned earlier, they actually look for tour operators, travel agents, and other partners to look at it. This is one key thing that everybody who wants to target India should keep in mind. It is one big country, and English works to a large extent to the urban audience, but it doesn't work across the board, and there is no one single language in India. It is a multiple-chunked country. So if you look at the map, that red patch that you see, that largely speaks one language. The rest of it is completely different. And there is enough travel media in vernacular languages. Like, again, I put this as an example because this is where I come from, the southernmost tip of the country. Where we live, the language is called Malayalam. And these two publications have been there for almost 10 years now. And they have paid subscription. It is well picked up, read. People have it at their homes. That is helping them to plan their travel and stuff like that. So when you reach out, keep in mind that language is important, vernacular is critical. Even if I am affluent, even if I have understanding of English, vernacular will play a role in me deciding where to travel to. When I mentioned Switzerland earlier, so this is one of the greatest Indian movie directors. In Switzerland, there is a statue of him. Why was it put there? Because from the 70s, he has made a lot of movies with Switzerland as a location. And those movies are big hits in India. People still remember those movies. People still remember those scenes. Like, there was a when I was in college, when I think in the mid-90s, there was a film that caught all of the entire imagination of the entire India, where Urail was first introduced. So for generation from of my people, Urail came from there. It came from that movie. We still remember that. We still discuss that. So when you're traveling Europe, it definitely is a key trigger if I have seen it in a popular, big Indian movie. And because of a love for movie and because of the long history of stories and myths and mythologies that we have, stories are a key part of us. So whatever communication you put out, it has to have, if it will be good to have a story, it'll be good to have a story that features someone like me. If I keep seeing foreign traveler in an advertisement, it really doesn't cut with us. People really will not pick up that destination. So this is one example. I'll just play this film. It's a small 30-seconder, which we did for our client called Kerala Tourism. Yeah. So the Indian traveler is geared to make up for the lost time. Like probably in 1950 we became a republic, but the number of people who traveled out of India as for international holidays were small in number. But that's going to be made up in the next 20 years very easily. So are we, the rest of the world ready for India is a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And now we continue in Asia, and our next market to explore is China. And we have the pleasure to count with Mr. Michael Wang, Vice President of Content at Dragon Trail Interactive.
I put over here? Maybe. No? Hi everyone, my name is Michael Wang, and I'm very glad to have the opportunity to share with you some insights and facts about the Chinese outbound tourism market. There are three themes that I'm going through one by one. So the good news is that for 2024, is that if we are looking at the number of international travelers during the New Year Day holiday, compared to 2019, that we are back to 100%. The better news is that while the pace of recovery is uneven across different markets, they are performing better compared to the golden week of the National Day holiday. According to data from Flight Master, there were a total of 40,900 international outbound flights during the New Year Day holiday, representing a recovery rate of 57% compared to the same period in 2019. The country with the most outbound flights come from China remains South Korea, while the country with the most recovery is Singapore, with a recovery rate of almost 100% compared to 2019. Notably, the United Kingdom, the UAE, and Russia are performing very well. So according to the leading OTA in China, Ma Fengwo, Asia is still the most popular destination for Chinese international travelers in 2023, while we see an increasing interest in Europe countries. Why is that? Now, because China allowed the travel agents to sell group and package tours to these destinations in February, March, and August last year, respectively. So some destinations are taking advantage of the timing. So in total, there are 138 countries and regions on the approved destination status list. So other main reasons cited for the choice of destinations are, the release of pent-up demand, ease of obtaining visas, and the low-cost travel. So according to the Hardy and Partners, Chinese passport holders can travel to 85 countries and regions on a visa-free, a visa on arrival or free electronic travel permit basis, ranking, 62nd. But that's up 4 places from last year. According to the research conducted by Dragon Trail last year, the key regions for most travel agents selling are Europe, Southeast Asia, and North America. Europe, largely due to the recovery in air travel, as you can see, it has the highest predicted potential for this year. Southeast Asia is always a key region, with the economic downturn in China, unfortunately. Though vast majority of people will continue to look for lower cost options, which tend to be in that region. And a few of the areas I have highlighted here show some of the regions that could have potential opportunity. That's Oceania, Central Asia, and the Middle East. So who are traveling? According to Ctrip's air ticket booking data, post-90s are the main segment of outbound travelers, accounting for nearly 30% of total travelers. The post-2000s are growing the fastest, reaching 22% travelers, the same proportion as the post-80s. So if we take a closer look at the Chinese travelers, they can be categorized into 10 precise personas, which are listed here. All right. Based on our research, the top 5 themes for outbound travel are food, authentic experience, sites such as museums, beach activities, and connecting with the nature. And as you can see, booking independent travel is the most important area for agents in 2023. This is partly due to the fact that group travel was banned for part of last year. So group travel is expected to increase this year. Right? So respondents were equally likely to sell bookings for independent travelers, 69%, group tours, 68%, and tailor-made tours for small and private groups, which is 68%. So in terms of the group size, groups of under 20 are most common in this current market. One thing to note, especially for China, is that family tours is that those traveling semi-independently can often be a family of 5 grandparents, parents, and 1 child. The family unit in China is very strong and large, so this needs to be taken into account. From a customer perspective, our travel agents believe that price, while important, is not the most important factor in deciding their travel plans, but rather a high-quality product in an interesting destination with a unique experience that matters. This slide shows that Chinese outbound travelers in 2023 are more likely to plan 1 month in advance, with trips lasting 4 to 7 days on average. So where do Chinese travelers find out about different destinations around the world? Chinese social media platforms such as WeChat, Weibo, and Xiaohongshu, in Chinese we call it a Little Red Book, are by far the most popular source of information. Chosen by 72%, this is followed by a range of trusted sources, including professionals, travel agents, and tour guides, and personal contacts such as friends and family. So other online sources include KOLs and the travel blogs, and OTAs for sure. Now let's take a look at the trade partners. Firstly, how big is the industry we are talking about? Well, there are over 4,500 registered mainland Chinese travel agencies that focus on outbound travel. Since the end of the pandemic, most of the countries on the ADS list has been reinstated. Now let's take a look at how to engage with the travel trade. Face-to-face meetings are obviously a top priority. However, offline engagement should be accompanied by online resources. If this can be localized in terms of availability, for example, on WeChat and in Chinese, then the benefit will become much more profound. Listed here are a variety of trade shows that take place in China throughout the year. China is a very large country. So there are a variety of different areas as when we do planning about the trade shows, which trade shows you're going to attend. So at Dragon Trail, we focus on GITF in South Province of Guangzhou and ITB, China in Shanghai and the COTTM in Beijing. This way we cover all the major markets from the north to the south. So online solution has become very popular in China. One solution is that we have a centralized travel trade hub within WeChat. This is where all your B2B activities can be centralized and localized within WeChat. So it acts like both your trade CRM and your e-learning platform. So LA, Los Angeles, is one of the leading destinations for this, but lighter versions can be can be used for DMOs and hotels. There are still some obstacles for the Chinese outbound tourism market. The top three are money, time, and security. When we're talking about security, it refers to the personal and the property security. But looking ahead, we are very optimistic about this year. So here are some very positive forecasts. So there is a quote from a Chinese teacher that has gone viral on social media in recent years. She says, "The world is so big, I want to see it." So it echoes hugely across the country. All right, these are the some key takeaways. I want to repeat one by one, but you can take a look at that. So here is my email and WeChat. So you can also follow Dragon Trail on the Twitter and WeChat accounts. So I want to say, with the Chinese New Year is around the corner, I want to take this opportunity to extend my warmest wishes to all of you. And may the New Year of Dragon bring you peace and joy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. And now our next destination is the Gulf Cooperation countries. And we have the pleasure to count with Mr. Carlos Sendra, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer of Myriam Technologies.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Buenos días. Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me? Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks the UNWTO for having us. I'm Carlos Sendra. I'm partner and Chief Marketing and Communications Officer in Myriam. We are a data analytics company specialized in tourism. We've been working for 10 years, and we cross-analyze more than 30 global sources in order to provide contextual information to destinations and companies, travel companies all over the world. And today we're going to see an example of how we can analyze the trends from the GCC countries to Europe using all that information. So starting by the basics, what's the potential of the GCC markets for Europe? Regarding our data based on Cirium air connectivity data, last year 25 million air connectivity seats were scheduled from GCC countries to Europe. Obviously, not all those 25 millions were filled by residents in GCCs. Obviously, there are huge hubs, international hubs in Qatar, in UAE, obviously, but this is a huge opportunity for Europe to get those visitors. Actually, it's the 3% of all inbound European air capacity during 23. So that's a lot. So far, at the closing of 23, it was only, well, it's barely the 90% of the 2019 levels in terms of air connectivity in between GCCs and Europe. When comparing by countries, by far, UAE is the country best connected with the European market. By far, it's almost 70% of the air connectivity is coming from that country, followed by Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Big difference between those three countries, especially the first and the rest. And when talking about the arrival destinations, we see how UK is also by far leading the arrivals from GCC. Almost 30% of the arrivals are for UK, followed by Germany and Italy. And when we focus on the cities, again, UK, London is the hotspot in terms of receiving visitors from that countries, followed by Paris and Frankfurt. That's the potential, really high. Now, let's see when they fly, when this demand is actually activated to visit Europe. Analyzing the flight searches during the last year, we see three main peaks of demand during the year, right? 2 Eid festivities, first right after Ramadan, and then 2 months after Ramadan are global peaks in terms of demand for Europe for all those markets, and also the Islamic New Year. It's a common peak for having visitors from that countries. Then we could see different patterns for the different countries, as you see here, in the Saudi Founding Day, in February, Kuwait National Day, or the UAE National Day by the end of the year. But in global, we see like 3 specific patterns in Eids and Islamic New Year. Let's see how they book and how they travel. They look up to 2 or 2.5 months in advance before the departure their flights. That means a really high anticipation, and they spend normally more, in average, more than 9 days at destination, which is also interesting to know since this is a long stay. Comparing the countries, Saudis and Omanis are the ones that has a higher anticipation to book their flights, followed by Qataris and the rest. And when it comes to the length of a stay, again, Omanis are leading the length of a stay in Europe, followed by Qataris and visitors from Bahrain. You see, it's in the case of Oman, it's more than 12 days in average. So this is a pretty long length of a stay for a visit in Europe. Let's see now why they visit Europe. We found 4 specific main motivations to visit Europe. First, arts and culture, followed by food and cuisine, gastronomy, nature, activities, and wellness. These records almost 70% of the motivations of these countries to visit Europe. So those are the really important, followed by active activities, family, and the rest, right? So let's see a couple of recommendations for destinations that want to target these markets. First, where is the demand? Well, actually 92% of all the inbound flights to Europe are arriving from UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. So the great opportunity is in those countries so far. When they travel, we saw it. The 8 festivities are key in order to get them reserving for visiting us, and then the Islamic New Year. And how I attract them? First, planning the campaign 3 months in advance before we want them visiting us. Second, planning packages of 9 or more days because they look for this kind of experiences. And then talking to them about culture, gastronomy, nature, and wellness, which are the main motivations to visit Europe. Let's see now a real use case, an example we did with Georgia and the GCC countries. Georgia was struggling to get more visitors from GCC, but they wanted to increase the air capacity in a more efficient way, trying to avoid seasonality. So what we did for them is analyzing all the structure in terms of distribution of air connectivity from the GCCs to the world and find where was the opportunity to grow. So by comparing the demand from GCC to the country, to Georgia, and the air connectivity, we found an opportunity in Abu Dhabi that wasn't covered so far. Then, analyzing the companies that already had routes from GCC, from UAE in this case, to Georgia, we found how Fly Dubai was the strongest partner to talk to in order to get this new route. And obviously, Abu Dhabi was an opportunity to cover. The result was the launchment of a new route from Abu Dhabi to Georgia during all year, but they managed to get 64% of the visits out of season. That means 62,000 new visitors in low season for Georgia, and an impact of $40 million during low season for the country. This is just an example of how we can make really efficient and smarter destinations with having all that information and the tourism advisory. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos. And the session has come to an end. And I just wanted to thank all the speakers that were with us today for bringing that wealth of knowledge into the key outbound tourism markets. I hope you all found it very useful. And now, just to finish, I would like to invite to the stage all the speakers to take a family picture.